Hi and welcome back. In this video we're going to carry on looking at some different examples of solutions using Web Screen Configurator that have been prompted or requested by customers, mainly when they're moving from desktop to web and they come across certain requirements, cosmetic changes they want, or things that will replicate what they used to be able to do in desktop but no longer could in web. And the focus on this video is going to be on autofill, but also with some other functions in visibility and titles. So the first thing is the manual payment screen. One of the customers we had wanted a couple of changes to this screen. The first thing they wanted in customer invoice matching and supplier invoice matching was for the open items to be filterable. So by default this table doesn't have a filter row on it, so if I choose a customer and then click on search, they have certain customers that have hundreds of lines and they want to filter by payment plan ID or currency amount, or they want to filter by some column, and there is no filter bar in here. So the easy fix to that, if I go into Web Screen Configurator, again I assume I've done my debugging, I've figured out what the name of this section is. So in Web Screen Configurator I've created my manual payments attribute value, so TVP004, gone into visibility, and the customer open trans is the section name. And all I've done is, if we go across to the right hand side, I've ticked filter row. That's it. So there are certain options in here that apply to tables. For example, has some, remove delete or remove add. Filter row is a super simple one you can activate once that's activated. So let me just turn that back on to status N, tab away and then save. If I go back to my manual payment screen and clear, and go back to customer invoice matching, you can now see that there is a filter bar on the open items. If I wanted to, I could easily filter by anything that I wanted to. Let me show you the same example that I used before, which I think was with Shell. There we go. So if I click on 1 and filter, and I'm only showing the things with payment plan 1. The other change the customer wanted in this screen was in the advanced payment screen. They only ever would use advanced payment for customer related transactions, creating new customer open items, and so they didn't want to have to click on a line and then select customer each time they wanted to choose customer, and they also wanted this renamed. So they actually wanted this field both hard coded as customer and hidden. So all those things can be of course done with the configurator. So the first thing was to hard code that value of customer. First thing you need to know is what value they can be, so you know what to enter into that field. And for this, it's either going to be R for accounts receivable, which indicates customer, or P for accounts payable, which indicates supplier, because this field is actually APAR type. This is APAR ID. So we know we need an R to be hard coded in there. R represents customer. So all you do is in the autofill tab, here we find our target section and field, in which case this is prepayments, which is that this whole section, advanced payment, and then we say the target field is APAR type, which is the customer / supplier option. And on the right hand side we've got a SQL. This is where you enter your the value that you want to be in that field. Now, even though it says SQL, for anywhere in the system where you want to enter just a hard-coded value, if it's a string, i.e. alphanumeric text, then you populate that value with single quotes. So this is just literally R, that's it. And you can see that below that we've got the currency being populated with GBP. If there had been a field with a number that I want to populate, I would just put in the number there with no single quotes. We also want to make that target read-only, so it can't be changed from that. And actually validate target doesn't need to be ticked. I might talk about that on a later video. Now for autofill, we need something to trigger the filling of the relevant fields. And for this, we're saying source section prepayments. This is the trigger. What this means is as soon as we click on add, so this prepayment is an action has been taken in this section, this will trigger this to automatically create customer. So every time you add a line here, this will trigger this autofill to take place. All right, the other thing we have on here, it's because this is only ever going to be a customer, they wanted this to say customer ID rather than customer supplier ID. That's a case of changing a title, and so that is done in the titles menu. So again, prepayments, APAR ID, that's now going to be called customer ID once activated. Finally, they wanted the customer field, because it's hard coded, they wanted this to be hidden. So again, prepayments, APR ID, ticked hide to get rid of that column completely. All right, I'm going to go across to the right hand side. I'm going to activate that. I'm also going to activate the title. In fact, I won't activate the hide yet, just so you can see that it actually does populate. Then I'll hide it afterwards. And the autofills, I'm going to populate, sorry, I'm going to change the status to N for those. Let's save. Okay, back to manual payment and clear. So now if we go into advanced payment, click on a new line, we can see customer is auto created, GBP is auto populated, and customer ID is the new field name. Finally, if we just hide that automatic field, so hide that customer, change that status to N and save. So finally, if we go back into manual payment and clear, back into advanced payment, and we can see that the customer/supplier APR type is gone, and in the newly titled customer ID column, only customers can be seen.